Alright, so, Far Cry Primal. Far Cry Primal is a game that lets you ride mammoths, tame saber-toothed tigers, and turn your enemies into kebabs with spears. But what if we threw all that fun out of the window and made life as miserable as humanly possible? Today, we're asking the question, can you beat Far Cry Primal with only level 1 gear? No upgrades, no fancy weapons, just a glorified stick in a dream like the true cavemen did. For those who are unfamiliar with Far Cry Primal, it has a system where you get weapons by upgrading them over and over, and you start off with level 1 weapons that are the weakest in the game, unsurprisingly. By the end game, this is a pretty huge deal, but early game, this isn't that big of a deal, as you're meant to have level 1 weapons. But when it comes to like boss fights or taking down great beasts, this really sucks to do this challenge. Also, I didn't see many Far Cry Primal challenges online. Far Cry Primal is one of the most underrated games in my opinion. I really love this game, and it's probably one of my favorite Far Cry games to date, because it feels so unique to me. Now that I have the main point of the run established, let's go over the rules of the run. Rule number 1, and surprisingly the main central rule for this run, is that I have to use level 1 weapons. There is an unskippable cutscene at one point of the game where Scylla the Gatherer gives you a level 2 club. So I will be using clubs up until this point, but once I reach this point and I unlock the level 2 club against my will, I will no longer be using one-handed clubs. Rule number 2 is no pets at all. Now, I could just use like the basic pets and say, oh, it's a level 1 wolf or it's a level 1 dole, but I don't really count that as like gear, and I'm only using level 1 gear, so no pets at all. And finally, this isn't really a rule, but I should go over what I consider to be an ending, because this game doesn't really have an ending, and that is once I kill both of the main bosses and the giant mammoth from the Great Beast Hunt quests. So once I beat those two, I consider this game beaten. There isn't really an ending, but there is a cutscene where it'll say Land of Oros conquered, and then there's a little cutscene with one of the kids that you take from the Udam. And this is probably what this game has closest to an ending, but this isn't the ending. So that is what I'm considering to be the ending in my run. And now, with all that out of the way, let's begin. The game then starts how it always does, with you and the hunting party with your friends hunting the mammoth, and this part really isn't just that important, so let's just speed through it, shall we? Then after saving Scylla's life, she tells me I should find my lost Wenja siblings, and I should start by finding Tensei the shaman, so I set off to go do that. After finding Tensei, he gives me the prehistoric equivalent to perk 30, and I immediately start seeing visions of animals that I can tame, and it's through this process that I learn how to tame animals. Then after taming the owl that I saw in my vision, I decided to take it out for a test drive on some Udam hunters. After spotting the Udam hunters, it was time to take them down for stealing some of the stuff that we own, so I set off to do that. And then I crafted myself some bait because it was time to go tame a wolf. Then it was time to test my new wolf on some unsuspecting Udam tribe members. But like I said in the intro of this video, one of the main rules is that I can't use pets, so luckily you can just pass this quest by just killing them without having to use your wolf, and you can get by with only level 1 weapons for now. I then went back to the village and talked to Scylla. She said that in order for this to be an actual village, I should be the one building her hut instead of her doing her own work. So I decided that I'm a landlord now. And after building Scylla and Tensei's hut, I go talk to Scylla, and she gives me the Tier 2 club. The reason why this is such a big deal is because, well, obviously I can't use a Tier 2 weapon. So this basically means I just can't use my one-handed club from here on out, which cuts out, like, basically a whole weapon tree. And it's my best melee weapon that I have. And I prefer it way more than the two-handed club, which I get later. Then after one long night of sleep, the Udam came to attack, and I meet the absolute legend that is the leader of the Udam, Ol. And then it was time to defend my village from the Udam who were attacking. So I defended my village, and then it was time to go fight back and retaliate by attacking their village. Then I went after the Udam, destroyed their bone trees, and killed what was left of them in this area, and it was time to move on to the next mission. Then I set off to go get Perush, who is a Wenja that got lost. He's a warrior, and he can help our entire tribe learn how to fight. Then after recruiting the last Wenja specialist, Perush, it was time to recruit the next one, Muga, who's the crafter, and he crafted a trap that I fell into, and after mistaking me for an Udam, he proceeded to piss on me. Then after finding my way deeper into the cave that I was trapped in, I found Muga's climbing, grappling hook claw thing, and I managed to escape. Then I made my way back to Muga to give him a piece of my mind. Then after a nice chat with Muga, we finally made up, and I told him to meet the rest of the Wenja back at my village. Then after meeting Muga and doing a small fetch quest for him, I made my way over to meet Jema the hunter to recruit her to join our village. Then Jema complains about how I've been stomping around too loudly, and I chased the hunters off their trail for a bear they've been hunting for a while. She tells me she'll join the rest of the Wenja at our village if I go hunt the bear for her, so I'm off to go do that. Then I went to go finish the work that Jema couldn't because she's an incompetent hunter and clearly I'm the best hunter ever. Then after killing the bear, Jema tells nothing but lies about how they tired out the bear and I didn't do any of the hard work, but she's just trying to downplay how good I am at hunting bears. And then it was off to do the next quest. Then after going back to Tensei the Shaman, he gives me another perk 30 and I see hallucinations about the downfall of the Udam and how they struggle with the cold and surviving in the cold of the north. And after that I went to go do a quest with Muga where basically I just have to climb a mountain. And it really is just like a huge nothing burger because you just climb the mountain, collect eagle feathers, and then you just jump off the mountain. Then it was time for what was normally one of my favorite quests in this game, the Stomp Udam quest, but in this challenge, this was probably like one of the most difficult missions in this run because you have to be careful not to kill any Udam members when you're riding a mammoth, but you also have to destroy like all the buildings and stuff they have. So it took me a couple tries, but eventually I got a run where I didn't kill any Udam members with my mammoth and I still fit within the rules of the run. And then while I was still in the north, I decided to go capture the big Darwa fort with Da of the Udam, so that way I could recruit him into our tribe. But I died here way too many times, and this was just insanely hard. So I decided it was time that I upgrade my bow. So I went to go make the longbow. After scrounging around for a while, eventually I had enough resources to make the longbow. And after making it, this was a pretty big game changer because my old bow, you needed to charge up all the way for it to actually like go anywhere, and it didn't have any like power behind it. But this one has a lot of power, and this bow can like instantly headshot people even if they have head armor. So this bow really helped me from here on out. Then after making my longbow, I made my way back to the big Darwa fort, and it was time to fight Da to recruit him to the Wenja and get him to leave the Udam. After winning my fight against Da, I decided to take him captive because he could teach me how to make the Udam's poison bombs. So I took him back to my village and put him in a cage for now. And since that quest that I just did for no reason takes place in the north, I also decided to stop by Karush's final quest in the north to help him after he killed the man who killed his son and wipe out the rest of the Udam in the area. I also stopped by and did Jama's next quest, which is also in the same area, kind of, and it's to hunt the tall elk. And fun fact about this quest, every single time you're playing on survivor mode, which I am, the tall elk will be glitched and it'll just sit in its cave and not attack you or do anything, so this is probably the easiest quest I had to do in this entire run. And then making my way back home, I also decided to stop off at Ruga's quest, which is to kill people who robbed the totems from us, so I did that. And after making my way back home, I decided to go check on Da, the Udam tribe member that we kidnapped, and Sila's standing there asking me why I'm looking for him, and she's angry that I brought an Udam tribe member into our tribe, threatening our people. And I told her why we're keeping him with us, and she told me that there's a bunch of people going to go drown him and kill him, so it's my job to go save him. And I did that. And after saving Daw's life, I brought him back to the village and built a hut for him, and he told me about his skullfire kuru disease that he has, and he told me that there's a temporary cure for it that I can go get from him from a Udam village, so I'm off to go do that. And then I went to go get the bone dust for Daw, which is his temporary cure to the little disease that he has going on. Basically, you just track a woman, watch her go into a hut, and then you loot the hut for the bone dust and leave. It's really just a nothing quest. The next quest that I stopped off at was to free my captured Wenja family and the Izila bases, and this was my first time dealing with the Izila head-on. Now, they're a little tougher than the Udam because they tend to wear armor more, so they take more hits to take down, and they have more heavy opponents, so they're a little bit tougher, and they use fire more, so they also pack a bit more of a punch. But this quest is basically just me freeing my captured tribe members from the Izila and then burning down their whole camp that they have going on here. And then you go to leave, but last second one hits you in the head, and you meet the leader of the Izila, Pottery, and she's like the main boss of their whole thing. But then she gets angry at me because I said I don't want to be enslaved by her and forced to do hard labor, so she throws me in a burning pit, but I managed to escape through a hidden waterway, and then I made my way back home. At home, Tinsei let the entire tribe know what the Izila were about after finding one of our tribe members burned by the Izila, and he told me that we should bring the fight to them and make them pay for what they've done to our Wenja brothers. And I agree. Going and talking to Tinsei again, he gives me another perk 30, and I see through the eyes of the Izila and what they fear most, and how their wrathful god could possibly wipe out the moon, destroying all life as they know. I then stopped by to have a quick word with Sila, and she explained that I should go take the fight to the Udam homeland too, but that Ol's homeland is defended by a bunch of poison fumes, but she knows the cure to the poison fumes. So she tells me it in secret, and it's my job to go get them. But before I did that, it was time to do one of Jama's quests, which was to help a Wenja hunting party hunt a mammoth that was nearby. And it was relatively easy, mostly because the other people carried me, but I did get the final landing blow on the mammoth. And this clip was in the beginning, but for some reason there was weird, like, pink liquid that was on the ground. I think it was just a texture glitch, but I like to think that they had pink paint all the way back in 10,000 BCE. And then moving on to Silas' quest, I simply just went to the north and collected some yellow leaf, and it was simple as that. Definitely nothing else happened here. Waking up, I'm thrown in a cage by the Udam leader Ol, who you met earlier, but he's basically talking about how he could have killed me and how he could have done a bunch of worse stuff, and he's technically showing me a mercy by letting me rot in here, but it was time to just get out of here and get back to my village to warn the people about Ol's wrath. And overall, this wasn't that hard. I just crept through a couple of caves and then made my way back home. And upon returning home, I give Sila the yellow leaf, and she teaches me how to make the antidote, so the Udam's poison bombs basically mean nothing to me now, and I can enter the Udam homeland whenever I want to face Ul. Arriving at the entrance to the Udam homeland, I take the antidote and make my way to fight Ul. Then I fought my way through the canyons, then through the mountains, then through the silent camp, then fought through Ul's cave, and finally made my way to Ul. And this whole fight is comparable to the fight against the Legate in Fallout New Vegas. This is like an insanely hard fight, especially with the challenge that I'm doing and on Survivor Expert difficulty. This took a lot of tries, and there's probably like 2.5 to 2 3/4 of an hour footage of just me fighting Ul. And I would love to show you the sped up version of it, but I'm just going to show you the last little bit of the fight to try and cut down on the time of this video, and also because it just took way too long. And after fighting him, he surrenders to me, and he's about to threaten to kill a baby. But before this, his kid, I'm assuming, sees him about to kill a baby, and he's like, "Oh, this isn't you aren't the man I thought you were." And then basically he's like, "Okay, you take the baby, you take the kid, take him back to your village. You can take better care of them than I can." And he realizes that the Wenja aren't as soft as he once thought they were. Upon returning back to my village, everyone's excited to see me, and a little more excited to see the Udam baby and child that I brought home than I thought they would be. Sila tells a quick, what I'm hoping is a joke, about taking the child here since I didn't take bulls here, but the Wenja are doing good for now, and now it's on to our next big obstacle, Bloodtusk.
No Udam Wenja Dwaya.
And after a brief discussion with Tinte about Bloodtusk, he talks about how I need to get used to being lit on fire if I'm gonna fight the Izila, since they love to use fire all the time. And I should go get the karate, the mask that the Izila believe is like a holy object that they fear because it symbolizes the devil or something. Anyway, it's off to go get the karate. And after stealthing my way through like a whole little obstacle course that they have set up here, I got the karate only to be ambushed by Bloodtusk, who shot me in the leg with a arrow lit on fire, and somehow I just completely walked this off and managed to live. And then I ran and got the hell out of there with the karate, luckily, and I went back to the village to tell Tinte about what happened. Tinte keeps yapping about the magical properties of the mask or something, but if you would just get up and threaten them instead of handing them a friggin' mask, yo. There's Izila in here that don't get frightened like that. They need to be frightened face to face. You're just getting mad because I'm pointing out the obvious. Then it was time to go invade the Izila homeland by smashing through the border gate that they have outside this cave by riding a mammoth and just charging straight in there. And after going around the homeland, bringing a couple Wenja, it was time to go take the fight to Bloodtusk's fort. Then all the Wenja and I were bringing down this huge stone to make a makeshift bridge into Bloodtusk's fort. And then once we made it in, I put the karate on, and everyone was just scared of me. And I managed to just walk my way over to Bloodtusk. And when it came to actually fighting Bloodtusk, well, this is supposed to be like a huge fight where you're using your bow against her and she's using her bow against you. And she'll summon random Wenja warriors or Izila warriors at some random point, but I didn't really feel like doing that with only 6 arrows, because normally at this point you're supposed to be able to carry like 48, but I didn't feel like doing that with 6 arrows, so I just searched up a speedrun online, did a glitch, and I kind of cheated my way through this entire boss fight. But I just really didn't want to do this with only 6 arrows, dude. That would have sucked. I just want to take a moment to appreciate the voice acting here. For anyone who's playing this for background noise, you might want to look really quick to look at the subtitles, know what they're saying. and returning home, the Wenja celebrated that I've taken down 2 of my 3 targets that I need to take down in order to beat the game. We had a huge party about this. But now, it was time for the bloodtusk mammoth. And this was probably the hardest one. Okay, I'm gonna try and go a little fast through this because I'm trying not to make this too long, but I meet a Wenja hunter who tells me about the bloodtusk mammoth, and I use my owl to scout out where the mammoth is, and then I head my way over to go fight it. And I debated if I should just speed up this entire fight or if I should just show you sections of it, and I'm probably just going to show you important bits of this fight because the whole fight goes like this. You meet the mammoth at first in like this hot springs area where basically my only way of even dreaming of dealing damage to it is to lead it into the geysers and hope that that does enough damage and it goes off at the right time. And then after that, it's off to this like ice peaks area, and my only dream of injuring it there is to shoot the ice above it and hope it falls on him and I timed it correctly. I'm not good at timing things in games, and that will do enough damage to him eventually. And then you lead it to this final area where the only real way I can damage it is by setting traps. And I don't know if I should have counted this against the run, but I did use them. And if you think this was against the run, then I don't know, too bad. But that was basically how this whole fight went. And then I finally killed the bloodtusk mammoth with the broken animation, technically beating the game by my standards, and proving yes, you could beat Far Cry Primal with level 1 gear. This run definitely shifted up what I'm usually doing on this channel, because normally I'm doing Fallout New Vegas. Well, I say normally, but I made 2 videos on Fallout New Vegas, but they are my only 2 videos that I have out at the time of recording this. I love this game a lot, and I love to expand what I'm doing right now, and overall I just really love this run. This was a really good run, and I didn't see many Far Cry Primal challenges online, like I said at the intro of this. There were definitely a lot of parts where I could have done something different, or I feel like I could have shifted around my ending, but if you did make it this far, why don't you just let me know what I could have shifted around. But overall, I feel like this was okay. I do plan on doing at least one more Far Cry Primal run. I don't know if that'll be my next video, but it probably will. And overall, I really just love this run, and I really loved working on this video, but I really need to work on planning on what I'm doing in these videos, because can you tell I recorded most of this when I was like sleep deprived at like 3 in the morning, because I was extremely monotone in some of these areas and I'm way too tired to just re-record some of them because there's just a lot of the points that I felt like I could have done better, but I will definitely improve in my upcoming videos. But for now, that's it. So goodbye.